All right. Welcome to community building. This is building your network to land an internship or a job. My name is Melissa Vieira. I'm the Associate Director at Academic and Career Advising. And today I'm here to talk to you about how building your network can directly lead to landing your job or an internship. And we call this networking. We call it building your community. There's all different ways to talk about it, but the principles are the same. If you can scan this code and log in, put in, I think you just have to put your name and check a box or two. That way we can give you credit for being here. So just in case you're here for a class or for credit, we can report your attendance. We also will send out a survey after the fact. So it's great to know that you're here. Let's see. Okay, so today our objective is to learn about what is a career conversation. Career conversation is the #1 way to build your career or to build your network. And so we'll start with that definition and what it is, why it's important. What is the value of your network, why that's important. And then we'll introduce you to a new program that our team adopted recently called Career Launch. You'll also get an invitation to join a group coaching session. I'm not trying to be a gatekeeper, but this is way more information that can be covered in an hour. And so I'll go as far as I can, but then you're invited to join us for a month-long group coaching where you get more instruction and support over the next month. And then finally, we'll just get into what the Career Launch method is and get as far as we can in the time we have together. So first of all, what is a career conversation? So a career conversation for a student might be a little bit different than somebody who's already in the workforce. And so for a student, a career conversation looks like a meeting with someone in a field or a position, a role or a company that you're interested in exploring and learning more about. You want to gather information, you want to get advice, and you want to build your network. That's why a student would do a career conversation. Sometimes these are called informational interviews, but the words career conversation have a better connotation, and that's what we use when we're talking about it. But a career conversation, having these types of conversation is a skill that you should take with you all the way through your career. For professionals, it's a meaningful discussion about your career. So it might be with your supervisor, it might be with a mentor, it might be with a colleague. But I have personally been in plenty of career conversations that have led to big change or opportunities that might not have been available to me if I hadn't been thinking about this and hadn't been proactive about these types of conversations. Oops. Okay, so I want you to just take a second. If you're on Zoom, type in the color that matches your feelings. If you're in the room, turn to the person next to you and tell them, what color do you feel? So how do you feel about reaching out to professionals to have a career conversation? So this is the outreach, the putting yourself out there, the sending the email or asking for a conversation. How does that make you feel? Turn and talk to the person next to you or put it in the chat. Does anybody want to share out what they or their partner? Are you guys in similar places or very different? Similar? Where are you?
Maybe like depending on what the conversation is.
Right.
And
Right.
like was about the same.
Okay. Yeah. So light green or about the same, but also there's that key that it depends on what the conversation is about. So I think that the more prepared you are and the more you've thought about how you want to conduct this conversation, the more research you've done, probably the closer you slide to the green side of it. Okay, anybody in the red? Okay, good. Okay, so I work in the academic and career advising office, which is a student-facing office that really helps students get in the door at Pacific, graduate, and then do whatever they want to do next or have the doors open to them. And so Forbes did a study, and the #1 reason that students want to go to college or do attend college is to get a good job. And so with that in mind, our office is pretty integral in helping students navigate their way from being admitted to that career that they want. And so this is just one of the resources that we have that you can come and talk to any of our advisors about. Okay, so I want you to talk to the person next to you or type into the chat. What are some challenges that a student could face when they're looking for a good job? That definition of a good job. What are some of the barriers that you might come up against or might feel, or what might set you back? So we'll just take a minute to talk to the person next to you or to type something into chat about what could prevent you from getting this good job that you went to college for.
Hello.
All right, so lack of prior work experience in the field, lack of self-confidence. What is something else that somebody can share? Whoops, let's go back. What did you guys come up with? What's the barrier?
Lack of experience.
Lack of experience. Yeah, anything else?
You said that. We also said not understanding the day-to-day of what a job entails.
Yeah, not understanding truly what a job is or what a particular job does. Do you guys have any ideas? What could prevent you from getting this good job that you're going to college to get?
A lot of competition.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge one, the competition. Who else is trying to get this great job that you want? Absolutely. Those are all super important challenges to think about and to hopefully work around. One of the challenges that students face is that 90% of students apply to jobs only online. And if you're applying only online, the success rate of getting that good job is between 1% and 3%, depending on the industry, right? Exactly. And that's a giant barrier, is that if you don't know how to apply to jobs or to get jobs, that's a barrier in itself, right? So this session and this topic is about increasing your odds, right? And so you are 12 times more likely to earn a position. So this isn't you get a job because you knew the person, it's that you earn it because of your skills and your qualifications, but you're in the right place at the right time because you have an internal advocate. So it's not about you being handed a job or nepotism or anything like that. It's about your internal advocate knowing what to say and having you be in the right place at the right time. And that makes you 12% more likely. So that dramatically increases your odds of getting this job, right? From that 1% to 3%. Okay, so that's what we're talking about today. How can you increase your odds of getting this job that you want and knowing what the job is that you want? Okay. I want you guys to pull out your phone or your computer, and I want you to search how many jobs are posted online. What percentage of jobs are posted online? Did anybody come up with a figure? 20%. Anybody else? Anything different? 80% is posted online or posted in the hidden job market. 80% are found online. Read me the whole thing.
80% of jobs are found online. Mainly these jobs are found through searches, job boards, and
Okay. Okay. The statistic that I've heard is kind of the opposite, that 80% of jobs are hidden. They're in the hidden job market and only 20%. So if 90% of students are applying to 20% of the jobs and you only have the chance of 1 to 3%, your odds are very, very low, right? This is what we call the hidden job market. So on the surface, the things that get posted, the things you can find through a Google search shows you that 20% of jobs or internships are advertised online, when 80% are kind of under that waterline of that iceberg. And those are ones that you have to work for. You have to know somebody or be in the right place or have a network, warm connection to find these hidden jobs. Okay. So my personal path, the ones in red are jobs that I applied for, and the ones in green are the ones where it was the hidden job market and things that weren't posted or I didn't apply for. So when I was in college, I did an internship at a PR firm in Seattle. I applied online, got the job, but then I was hired into a position. So that was because I had a warm network and I knew the people. So then I had my first full-time job after college. Because of an internship. And then I went to work for one of my clients, my PR clients, Grand Central Bakery. And I was, that job wasn't posted. I didn't have to apply for it. I was just in the right place and talked to the right people. Then my husband and I moved, and I applied for a job because I was in China and I didn't know anybody. And so I applied for a job at a company called Times First and I got it. And then I started working at the school my husband was working at, XIS. And that was one that was not a posted job. And I got it because I was talking to the right people. And then when we moved back to the US, I applied for a job here at Pacific University and I was hired as the internship coordinator. And since then, I've kind of worked into multiple other jobs, all kind of under the same umbrella, but the Global Scholars Advisor and Associate Director are jobs that happened neither of them were posted, but happened because I was talking to the right people and having those career conversations, right? So you can see about half of my positions were applied for. They were online. And then about half of them were ones that I just kind of worked into. Okay. And so I think that that's a pretty typical. I know Heidi did some informational interviewing and career conversations before she came to work at Pacific. So I think that knowing both sides of this, knowing how to fill out an application, but also knowing how to network and to build your network is important in your career path. Okay, so the purpose of your network, building your community, getting information. So this addresses what you guys were talking about, is that you don't know what a job entails, or you don't know what you would do in a day-to-day. So you don't know what the job you want to do is called. So learning more about a position or a company, hearing about opportunities. So even knowing that these things exist, these positions exist, it's a great way to get past gatekeepers and those automatic tracking systems that scan your resumes. It's a great way to explain yourself and to explain your path. It's a great way for you to kind of envision maybe a different potential, right? So maybe in having a conversation with somebody, you can be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was a thing. That would fit in so well with these two things that I'm already interested in. And then finally, it's a great way to find mentors and internal advocates and other people that can support you on your career. So your network's very important. You should definitely work to build it, but that's probably why you're here, because you know that. So our office, Academic and Career Advising, adopted a program called Career Launch. And so this is a free to you program. But what it is a step-by-step guided framework to help you make your own connections. So I've known for a very long time that building your own network is very important for a student's success after graduation. But what Career Launch offers us is a guided framework. And so that makes it a lot more equitable, because everybody's starting at the same spot and everybody's going through these same stages and hearing the same information. And so what Career Launch will do is help you explore career paths and options, what's available, what exists. It'll help you develop internal advocates and mentors. And so by virtue of having these career conversations, you will be building your own network and building these relationships with people that are internal advocates and mentors. The perk to that is that in the past we've, like, oh, here's our alumni list. But if it's a list that we own, how's that useful to you? You need to be able to replicate this and do this again on your own and build your own internal advocates, have these people working for you. And then finally, through your own network that you can develop through Career Launch, that's where you will be able to access this hidden job market. And you'll be asked to interview for positions or, consider different options that may not have been available unless you've gone through this framework. Okay, so that's the hard sell. It's a program that we already have. It's not a hard sell. It's something that you can just do. But this is what it is. So it's 8 steps to help you get in front of career professionals and have career conversations and start to build your own network. So step 1 is discernment. So that's the very first piece. And so that is about you. And it's where do you want to work? So prioritizing the organizations that would be a good fit for you. Step 2 is the strategic research. And so this is a piece that is pretty tricky. It's how do you find the right people in the right organizations that can be useful to you. Step 3 is your personal brand. So this is super important, especially when you're kind of launching your career. Enhance is spelled wrong. So you want to enhance your online reputation. And so this is what are the little pieces that you can put into place so that when somebody Googles you after you've applied to a job, it shows up in a way that you can be proud of. Step 4 is outreach. This hangs up a lot of students. And honestly, this is where I would get hung up is how do you actually send that email and how do you get a response? And so the outreach step is all about playing your student card, which is a very important card, to get these career conversations rolling. Step 5 is how do you prepare? So how do you get ready for these conversations? How do you, what are the strategies and best practices for when you're actually talking to professionals in interesting fields? Step 6 is advanced. So this is after you've mastered the general preparation. Then this is kind of how can you leverage these conversations into interviews and recommendations, mentorships, and other opportunities. Step 7 is effective follow-up. So this is the thing that could set you apart from everybody else applying for this job or applying for an opportunity with this organization is building a long-term relationship. And step 8, final is hopefully you can parlay your career conversation into an interview. And this is how do you convey your value and land the position in a job interview. Okay, so those are the 8 steps. What we're going to do today is get through as many as we can. But I want to invite you guys to join me over the next month. I'm going to be running a group coaching. And so it's probably a 2-hour commitment a week. You would get micro-learning texts sent to your phone on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. There'd be a short video or a lecture and possibly an assignment. And then every week we would have an open Zoom coaching call. And so you would just join on Zoom. You can share your wins. You can ask your questions. You can get support if you get stuck on something, and you can talk to other people that are kind of going through this at the same pace as you. So it's a 4-week program that we would do together, and Career Launch has a 92% success rate. So students who have gone through Career Launch, 92% have been able to identify an internship and land an internship or a job. So this has been proven to work over and over and over again. So if you're interested, of course, I didn't pick up the sign-up sheet. Can you pass around a sheet that just says name and email? So if you're interested, I will contact you. And also, this isn't open just to people in this room or online. This is also open to your friends. And so if you go back after this and you're like, oh my gosh, I know a person who really needs this, or oh, this would be so much better to do it with somebody else, go ahead and have your friends contact me also. I'll have my contact information on the last slide, and you can just shoot me an email and say, group coaching, I want to do it. And so please do invite your friends. Right now, we don't have a limit on how many students we can do. And this is a pilot. So you guys would be the first ones going through this. We're running it in a couple classes. And so this is a way to reach more students. So students who aren't signed up for specific classes. Okay, so this is actually the hard sell. I want students to join me in this group coaching because I think you can get so much value, and there's absolutely no way I could cover it all in 1 hour with you today. So please sign up if you're interested in learning more, but we're also just going to kind of dive in and get as far as we can. So we'll start with step 1. Step 1 again is discernment. And so discernment is prioritizing the organizations you want to work for. So at the end of step 1, the goal is to have a list of 10 organizations that are your top priorities, top ones to contact, okay? So we're gonna do a couple of things. So very first thing we're gonna do is some personal reflection or some reflections. So personal and career. So I'm going to hand out this form, and on this side, there's some personal reflection questions and some career reflection questions. For personal reflection, okay, so for personal reflection, we're mostly thinking about interests, skills, character traits. Questions like, what comes to mind when you think about the tasks you enjoy? When you reflect on your life, what experience has impacted you the most? What skills and strengths do you currently have? And Mike's going to put that into the chat box for you online. And then for career reflection, what has been most impactful events in your life? Who do you admire? What are you good at? What could you be paid for? What does the world need? What do you love to do? So I'm gonna set the timer for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and we're gonna just think about these questions and just brainstorm. This is just a free write, trying to come up with some reflection on what has worked in the past and where you could see yourself. Because really the most important part of identifying the right organizations is by knowing who you are. So I'm going to start the timer now. So just take a couple minutes, 3 minutes to think on these reflection questions. This is for yourself. You're not going to have to share this part out. So don't worry about typing it in or sharing it with anybody else. This is just for you. Personal reflection. All right, time's up. So hopefully you've had a chance to think about that reflection. Now I'm going to have you turn over the form. The second piece we're going to do is on the, let's see, the ikigai. And so this is a Japanese process. And what it literally means is reason for being. And so the idea here is that there's an intersection between what you love and what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you're good at. And that's kind of that sweet spot. We know in research into careers and satisfaction that the more aligned you can be with purpose in your career, the better off you'll be and the happier you'll be in your career. So if you can start with that in mind, I think that that goes a long way. So on the back reverse side, there are 4 boxes. And so it's the what do you love? What does the world need? What are you good at? And what can you get paid for? And above, there's some guiding questions to help you fill in those boxes. So we're just going to take about 4 minutes to just brain dump as much as you can to answer any of these questions. And hopefully it'll help you kind of figure out a little bit closer what your purpose could be. So about halfway done, 2 more minutes to think about this. Okay, 1 more minute. Okay, so again, this exercise is aimed to help you reflect on how your skills and interests align with what organizations value and what you can bring to this world and how you can maximize fulfillment in your career. So this is something to come back to because things change. You get more experience, you find new things that you love, new things happen in the world that you feel like you can help with. So this is a good thing to revisit and think about some more. There's one other thing that I want to talk about. I don't have a slide for it, so I'm just going to tell you. But another piece that matters in figuring out which organizations are going to be a good fit for you are, we call them the 10 factors that matter in a job. So these are things like job function. Will you be able to use your skills and interests in the job or the role? Will you find the work meaningful? Learning and growth opportunities. Can you take on exciting projects? Are there advancement opportunities? Will the job help you and build valuable skills? Relationships with the supervisor, time commitment, organizational culture and values, organizational size, the industry, the geography, the risk and security. Is it a risky job? Can you get fired? Is it a contract position or is it a tenure position? And then compensation. And so these are 10 factors that you should explore and also rank. So which ones are going to be the most important to you? And this can really help you narrow down the type of job, the organization, all of those kind of pieces that can really help you narrow down what are the right organizations. Okay, so finally, this section is called discernment, and it's all about finding, choosing a top 10 organizations to start targeting. So if you go back to the first page, whoops, wrong way. If you go back to the first page, there is a box for you to fill in 10 different organizations. So I don't want you to overthink this. I want you to just take action. This discernment idea is ongoing. So this is your top 10 list now. If you can't think of 10, you can revisit it over the next day or so. But over time, this list will change. You'll add organizations that you learn about, and you'll take away things that because of things you learn about an organization. I'm just going to set the timer for 3 minutes. I want you guys to brain dump. But I also want to invite you guys to go grab some food during these 3 minutes, and so that you can be eating while we continue on. Okay. So feel free to get up and get food or sit and try to get through your 10 organizations. All right, so thumbs up if coming up with 10 organizations was super easy and you already had 10 in your mind. Medium if you came up with 5 pretty easily, but still had to look, okay? And then thumbs down if it was much harder than that. I feel like I would be right here. I don't know. I don't know where I am. Okay, so again, these 10 organizations are a snapshot in time. These are the 10 that you are thinking about now that can be useful. It's just going to start your search, right? So the next thing that we're gonna, okay, so here's some ideas on if you had some trouble coming up with your 10 organizations. So it was good that you had some off the top of your head, but some other ways to do it are to do some online searches. And so that could be as simple as best healthcare companies in Oregon, or nonprofits in Portland, or top companies to start a sales job. Or you can use a map feature and say, I want to live in this place. What are the companies around me? And so to use Google or whichever search function you like to help you come up with these lists. Lots of times these could lead to something like a blog post about the best healthcare organizations in the area or something like that. Another thing is that we have a resource through our office called What Can I Do with This Major? And so that is linked on our resources, our career resources page on our website. And so you can go in and see by major, what are some organizations that could be a good fit for you. LinkedIn is a great way. You can kind of do those similar searches like healthcare companies in Oregon and things like that to help you figure out what options are out there, what organizations even exist. And then another personal favorite of mine is called the Book of Lists. So every year, the Portland Business Journal, every issue, they rank different organizations based on different metrics. And so it can be like, mortgage companies that do the highest value in loans in the metro area, or it could be like largest companies by people in the area. And it has it by all different sectors and all different metrics. And so every year at the end of the year, they bind it all together into a book. And so we have a book in our office that is just like the best of. So it's called the Book of Lists. So it's all the lists that they've done throughout the year. And I love it as a resource because so many times I'll go in there with a student and come out with organizations that I had never even heard of before. And so I think anything that's going to open your eyes to other opportunities and other possibilities is a really great option for you. Okay, so this is to be continued. So I know 4 minutes, 3 minutes is not enough time to write your top 10 list, but it will give you a good start. It'll give you a good start. And so here's some ways to kind of keep building your list. Okay, so now we're on to step 2. So step 2 is called strategic research. And so the point of strategic research in step 2 is to discover the actual people. So we have the organization, but there's people that work in organizations. And it's not the organization that's going to help you build your network and be your internal advocate. It's specific people. And so now in step 2, we figure out who could those helpful people be. So the things that we want to look at. So when you're thinking about targeting a professional, you want to think about job function. What do they do in their job? What is their job title? You do want to target mid-level professionals. You do not, unless you want to work in HR, want to target recruiters or HR personnel. You want to talk to people who are doing what you're interested in or have done what you're interested in and maybe have moved up and now supervise the people who do what you're interested in. You want to think about location. So if there's a specific office building that you want to work in, that's a great place to start. Some companies have offices all over the country or all over the world. And so start with the location that you're most interested in. That's a good way to kind of target down to the right person. And then another great option is to look for shared interests or backgrounds. So do they come from the same hometown as you? Did they play the same sport as you? Did they go to your university? Do they support a nonprofit that you're involved in? These are all shared interests, and this will always, it's what you have in common will always help you kind of build a bridge. and build a link. So this is kind of how you want to start targeting particular professionals in your organizations that you've listed. So executives are pretty busy. So that's director, executive director, CEO, COO, chief executives, presidents, vice presidents. They're kind of up here and often can't make time. They can. I mean, there are circumstances where those are the right people to contact. And so if that is the right person, I don't want to preclude them from being on your list. But generally, the people who can be the most useful to you at this point are that mid-level management. So director, senior director, supervisor, that level. And then we kind of want to avoid entry level because a lot of times they don't have much pull, right? So if it's an assistant or a representative or a coordinator, unless they've been there a while and just haven't changed titles, which happens, you want to look for somebody who has maybe they're not too busy or oversee too many things, but has some pull or leverage within your organization. So it's that mid-level management, which is really the sweet spot. Okay. So the next step, so I'm not going to have you guys do this today. I'm just going to kind of go over what are the next steps, but these are all pieces that we would do together in the group coaching. But the next phase is to choose 5. So you've come up with 10, and I really do need you to come up with a full 10 before you can cut it down to 5, because you really need to cast your net wide to really see what the options are. So pick the 5 off your top 10 list to focus on first. And so this isn't that these are the only 5, but these are the first that you will target. And then ultimately, you're going to come up with the names and contact information for 3 professionals at each of those organizations. So you'll have 15 total contacts. Okay. So this is when I start to get all cringy and think, oh my God, you want me to actually like contact real people. It's one thing when you think about the organization and the dream. It's another thing when it's a real human. And so I think thinking about this is, well, a couple of things. So one, the more you know, the more you're prepared. I think for me, the better I am able to handle a situation. And so you'll want to do some research. And so you'll want to research who these best people are by looking at their websites and their social media profiles. So I would always start on the organizational website. They often have a directory, or sometimes they profile projects, or a who's who, or the organization talks about initiatives they're proud of. And lots of times they link to organizational social media, right? And so if you go to Kaiser and then you go to Kaiser social media, it might profile a doctor or a specialist in some other area, something like that, where you can kind of see what these people are doing. Another way to get some information is by using LinkedIn. And so there's 2 tools in particular. So let me see what I have here. Okay, yeah. So organization websites. So you want to look at their biographies, you want to look at current projects, you want to look at open positions, and then you want to look at what links to their social media. And then for LinkedIn, there's 2 good resources. So one is the alumni tool. So let's see. Actually, I'm just going to see if I can just show you real fast. This might not work because I might not. Do you know your login on LinkedIn? Okay, if mine doesn't work, I might ask you to do yours. So Pacific website, we know this website well, pacificu.edu. If you just scroll to the bottom, we have our social media linked, right? And so this isn't for a particular person, but this is for the organization. And so if you clicked on the LinkedIn, then you can log into your own profile. I don't even know where to start. Do you want to, can you come log in? Mike, is my screen still sharing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even know what email I have it on here.
All right, let me think.
Right?
Join
no,
LinkedIn,
no,
no, sign in.
Sorry, didn't get you the right screen. So the tool that I'm taking you to is available for every university. It's called the alumni tool. And once you're in the university's page, you can search for different people who majored with the same thing as you, or graduated in a certain year, or work at a certain organization. Thank you. Okay, so now we're on Heidi's profile, and I promise that wasn't intentional to not go to mine. But if we go to Pacific University's page, okay, let's see. Actually, I'm just gonna go back to the Pacific page. I can't see. Do it again. Because that will take me right where I want to be. Okay, so here, when you go straight there, you have to be logged in, obviously. So then you go to the alumni, and here you can do search for keywords. So right now we have 20,000 alumni listed on LinkedIn, which is pretty substantial. And so you can link, oops, zooming in. You can link by or search by all sorts of different things. And so if you have your major, you can do it a keyword up there if there's a specific company. Let's say we want to find somebody who works at OHSU. We want to say they work in Portland, and let's show, oh my gosh, it keeps zooming in. Let's do research as a keyword. So we still have a ton of matches in the area. So 70 in Portland. What if I did, instead of research, I'm going to type in biology instead. So now there's 41 in the Portland metro area. So if I click on that, it'll show me the bios, the profiles of people who are connected, alums of Pacific, who also have bio and OHSU in common, right? And then you can go through and dig deeper into their profiles and get their information that way. So that is the alumni search tool. Then let me show you very quickly. There is a search and filter. So if I did the same search with Oregon Health Sciences University, oh, there's none in Heidi's networks. Health. I don't think that'll, you think? So this is only in there, we want to be in Oregon Health. Okay, so here there's 77,000 followers. There's a ton of people. And then you can scroll down even farther. But what we really want to know is the people. And then, you know, then you'd want to do a closer search function from there. And so maybe it's location, or if you click all filters, it brings out a whole bunch more. And so you can kind of see like which service categories, locations, what they talk about in their profile. And so you can narrow it down a little bit more. But those are two really great LinkedIn tools to, yeah, so doing all filters and using the search function, company, role, industry, but then you want to narrow it down because remember, we're looking for specific people, not just general organization stuff. Okay, so then the next step is to find the work emails. So again, if you do the group coaching, you will have every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you'll have a text message with a small piece of this with some information and then the how-to. But work emails, there's a couple ways to find it. One is the company website. You can find a directory sometimes. I know on Pacific, there's a directory button at the very top. And so that's how I find people that I work with all the time. But there's also a couple extensions that you'll learn more about. And so Clearbit Connect is a browser extension you can use. Rocketreach.co is another one. And then Apollo.io is a LinkedIn extension. So that's one that pops up when you're using LinkedIn. So these are all tutorials. If you want to write them down, feel free to, but if you do the group coaching, you'll get walked through those. And then also there's always the search online, you know, what's the name of the organization plus directory is a great way to find the work emails. But the research over the 10 years that Career Launch has been going has shown that emailing somebody at their work email is the very best way to get them to respond in this capacity. Okay, so that's step 1 and 2. So I told you we couldn't get through all 8 steps in 1 hour. But the next thing is something that you guys could do right away. And this is work on a professional brand. And so enhancing your online presence is an important piece. And so one of the things to think about is why professionals say yes. I think, again, this helps me put this all into perspective about it's not just me asking for something, it's they have a reason for saying yes to your ask also. So sometimes it's the number one reason is empathy. They have been there, right? They remember what it was like to be a student. And so that is one of the number one reason that employers or professionals say yes to having a career conversation. The second most common is paying it forward. So somebody might have done them a favor when they were in college and they want to help the next generation. Third is that they're flattered. They feel so good that you've asked them about themselves, right? And that is a really legitimate reason for them to say yes. 4, connected to that, they really like to talk about themselves. And so they're happy to have a conversation with you so that they can talk more about themselves. 5 is pretty funny to me, but it makes them look good to others. So like they can go home and tell their college age kid, hey, guess what I did today? I had this conversation with this college student. Hey, why aren't you doing this? Or like, it just makes them feel good about themselves. And then number 6 is if they're recruiting, if they're an active recruiter, or if they know that their company's building, then they're always on the lookout for who else can help. So the 2 things that you could do right now are work on your email signature. So make sure from your pacificu.edu email, there's an email signature. So that would have your name, Pacific University, contact information, possibly your major and grad year, and then anything else that you want to share. And then the second piece is that you need a basic LinkedIn profile. And so by basic, you have to have these 5 pieces. You need a headshot. Your profile is 14 times more likely to be looked at if you have a picture. You need a headline. This is very searchable. This is the things that an employer can type in and type in a keywords, and you would come up based on your headline. You need to fill in your about, you need to have basic experience, and you need to include your education. So those are all pieces that connect you to organizations and people, and kind of broaden your reach on LinkedIn. So these are the very basic things. You need to have 30 connections in order to see anybody else's information on their profile. And so starting with your basic profile and building it is a really strong way to go. We only have about 4 minutes left. And so I wanted to leave a couple minutes for questions, if you guys have any, or for you guys to finish eating. I just want to go over 2 things again. Let's see. Exit. So again, there's so much information here that there's no way that we could get through it in an hour. And so again, I want to invite you guys to join me for group coaching. It's going to start next week. It's micro learning, and you'll get text messages and short videos and information and assignments. It breaks it down really small steps that are really manageable. And then every week we'll meet up on Zoom and share our wins, ask questions, and get support. And again, this program that we have adopted at Pacific, in other schools and every other location, they have a 92% success rate of students landing internships and jobs based on this process. This is not open just to the people in the room. It's really I'm casting a wide net to see how this goes the first time around. And so if you have a friend that you think would be great, or a roommate, or anybody else, please also invite them to join. And then if you have questions, I'm happy to share these slides with you, or connect with you one-on-one. Our whole team is trained in career launch. And so if you make a career guiding appointment with anybody at Academic and Career Guiding, they can help you with this. It is a pretty time-consuming process, so we're trying to think about ways that we can reach multiple students in one go, which is why we're doing the group coaching. But this is me, and so if you have questions or want more information or these slides, please reach out to me. If you have friends that you want to join, you can just have them email me directly, melissavie@pacificu.edu. And I would be so happy to include them in the messaging that goes out. So again, we only got through 3 steps because there is just so much to do in this process. And there's even more good stuff if you join us. Any questions? It's like just the tip of the iceberg, right? You don't even know what your questions are yet.
Well, I am gonna hang out for a few minutes, and so if you want to come up and chat, feel free. But hopefully you got something valuable out of this, and at least you got a little bit of a starting point. So thank you guys for coming.